All right, folks, here we are for another session of Off the Grid. Hey, I wanted to welcome my next guest who hails from the Golden State. Welcome the music producer, 3VOLVR. Hey, brother, thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
Excellent, brother. I'm doing well. Thank you for bringing me to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks. I know we both had to drop off some kids early this morning, and so we made it after some technical difficulties, but I'm glad, man. I'm glad we made it happen, and it was just tough, man, trying to get the schedules aligned, but we made it happen, man. So awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for meeting me halfway and helping me figure this out. I know being a parent and just period these days, everybody's super busy. So thanks, man.
Yeah. Oh, all good, man. Hey, let's start with just a quick introduction of yourself. Tell us where exactly in California you're at and how long you've been making music.
Yes. I'm currently I'm in Dana Point, California, Southern California. This is on the southernmost, next to San Clemente and Capistrano Beach. It's the southernmost border of Orange County, in between North County, San Diego. So I'm right here on the tip, kind of in the middle between San Diego and Los Angeles is right on the north end of North Orange County.
Nice, man. Yeah. How long you been doing music?
Yeah, man. I've been making music. I started writing and rapping at age 9 in 1994. I'm originally from Laguna Beach. I grew up in Laguna Beach, California, and between Laguna Beach, Dana Point, and San Clemente, I was raised here. My roots are actually from the South. My parents are from North Carolina.
Okay.
And that's where I was born. But I was raised out here since age 2. I got into hip hop at a real early age, late 80s. I'm the youngest of 4. Okay. I've been rapping since age 9 and making beats since 1999. 25 plus years making beats or so, or about 25. And then rapping 25 plus.
That's quite apparent too. As I looked at your catalog of music, man, you got a bunch of stuff, man. And so, credit for you cataloging all your music, man. It's nicely organized and just very easy to access. So anybody that wants to get deep into 3VOLVR's catalog, his Bandcamp is a nice little safe of all that music, man. I'm sure there's probably a bunch of stuff that's not on there, but it is quite impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. As a lot of artists, and as I'm sure yourself being an MC, actually, that part of my music I haven't really put out to the world. I focused on production mainly, and that's sort of like I'm an improvised MC, so I'm a freestyler MC.
Nice.
But I definitely take over the years. I focused a lot on the production side, on the beats. I'm more of a sample-based producer, but I did start out at both ways. With a Boss drum machine and Casio keyboard. Actually, I inherited at one point. I inherited a keyboard that was Exile from Dream Sequence, Dirty Science, Blue and Exile. One of my early also piece of equipment was from my uncle, who he was and is a guitar player. He toured with Earth, Wind and Fire, with Aretha Franklin, Kenny Loggins, a lot of big name people. He as well had a part in the Ray movie, Ray Charles. He did some of the soundtrack. I think he won an award for that, like Emmy or whatever that would be. And he was also did the soundtrack and was featured in the beginning. He was the guitar teacher teaching Ray when he was a little boy. So yeah, man, this music, it's definitely something that's been in my blood. My father, he's a guitar player.
Wow.
He used to drum when he lived in North Carolina, out in the country. Danny Richmond, I believe, who was Charles Mingus's drummer, used to visit and ran it here and there. You know, had some connections. And actually, my mom, I don't know if you remember that song, "Going Out West Where I Belong."
Oh,
It's
wow.
like it's an old surf song. That's my mom's cousin. So, you know, in between, you can always dial in 6 degrees of separation with a lot of different things. So music, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of history, man. And so
Yeah,
that's
man.
awesome that your dad was a musician too. And so, what kind
Yeah,
of music were your parents bumping back in the day? What was your
yeah,
first
yeah.
exposure to music in general?
Yeah. So you know, my parents, you know, they grew up during you know, hippie kind of era.
Yeah,
They listened to a lot of Joni Mitchell.
yeah.
I heard a lot of jazz in my house, you know, Young Colt and Limited, you know, Ramsey Lewis Trio, Isaac Hayes, a lot of classic you know, rhythm and blues, soul. My pops, he loves blues, so I heard a lot of Muddy Waters. Um, you know, a lot of good stuff like that. Also some Southern rock. So, you know, I heard a lot of different, you know, realms of styles,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
doubt.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you said that you started rapping at 9. So what was your first exposure to rap? Who were
Yeah.
you into as a kid?
Yeah, man. All right. So like my first rap was actually inspired. My brother, older brother Michael, who you know, early on, he's a DJ. He's been on some of my works and influenced and also, you know, kind of come back and forth energetically. Where he's kind of like my partner with creativity. He's an artist and also, you know, like I said, scratches. So, yeah, man. He's the cat that you know, has been there with me and in the beginning. I'm sorry, what was our question?
Yeah, and so like just some of the favorite artists that really that
Oh,
inspired
yes.
you and started rap. Yeah.
Yeah, early on. Okay, so being from the West Coast, I grew up with a lot of you know, DJ Quick,
Yeah.
you know,
Nice.
Second to None, um, Drew Down, Too Short,
Oh man,
um,
classic West.
a lot of West Coast stuff, Spice One, Bloods and Crips. But I also grew up, you know, with Public Enemy, Arrested Development, you know, with Tribe Called Quest, Native Tongues, with you know, De La Soul and all that sector,
Yeah.
KRS One, of course. Uh, Early on, I also had a, you know, hearing a lot of like the early West Coast, Zapp and Roger, you know, and stuff like that. Roger Troutman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So West Coast pop rock. So yeah, I grew up on a lot of Souls of Mischief, Hieroglyphics crew, you know, Extra Prolific, which you know,
You got some
thankful to
songs for
connect.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So early on, I would say when I was growing up, it was like hip hop had a lot more of the underground scene was more surfaced and still, I mean, there was still a lot of underground that you would see, but seeing like cats like Souls of Mischief and
Yeah.
you know, people like that, Saphir, I actually had a friend of my brother's friend. Actually, his mom worked at this place called the Coach House, and she would get early advance press albums. And one, she got that Saphir Boxcar Sessions,
Yeah.
which, you know, great classic album. Another one I loved early on, I was just actually listening to the other day, was Exhibit's first album was At the Speed of Life.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know, I definitely had a lot of that scene, but as well as there was that one point where you know, the Freestyle Fellowship and the Project Blowed, Good Life, West Coast Connect definitely made a big impact, as well as Soul Side's crew, you know, Latif, Black Alicious, DJ Shadow, Gift of Gab, you know, Chief XL, all those cats. I loved all those dudes. You know, early on, it was like, you didn't really know as much as, if for me at least. Now you see MPCs and you see SPs and you see, you know, these machines. I want to say, like, on the far side, Lab Cab in California, you open up and on the CD version, I think, not on the vinyl wax version, but on the CD, you can see, I think, an MPC 60 or something. It wasn't until maybe mid 90s or around that I really started recognizing what cats were making beats on, and really paying more focus on that, you know, especially being an MC and really tuning into that. There was a time where I just started to kind of step back and really, you know, notice the more like the Mumbles, who produced AC Alone, Book of Human Language, one of the, you know, best, in my opinion, still to this day, a really 1998 release. So anyways, yeah, a lot of sample-based cats really influenced, and you know, and from DITC crew, you know, Lord Finesse and all those cats, you know, yeah. DJ Premier, of course, Pete Rock, you know, Large Professor, you know, yeah. So my ear has always been like open to a lot of cats. I mean, when Outkast came out with Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, that was a great release.
Yeah.
You know, hearing the Dungeon Family and Organized Noise production, those dudes, you know, they still to this day carry they have a sound, you know. And I feel like a lot of my music, you know, my name started out as Evolve, and then grew into Evolve Audio, and then I pronounce it 3VOLVR, and the 3 got, you know, switched around. The E got switched into the 3. You know, with help from my brother's influence, who is a genius graffiti artist and just, you know, conceptualist, very smart scholar kind of guy, you know, reads a lot, and I read quite a bit as well. But now I having family, I've drawn a lot of those inspirations early on. And I still, you know, plug in, and I'm grateful. I see, you know, like Staple Mouth and the cats who, you know, coming up with Thunderhead album on the 23rd, man, like with Result. These cats are the dudes. And like, I hear your raps super sharp and clean, which I need to be more familiar with. I will be checking for more, you know, but yeah, man, this is the kind of energy that I can draw from, even music that I see that I don't necessarily think is dope. I feel like I have a sharp ear. You know, I can isolate and dial certain things, or, you know, that I feel, at least. And I know music is very based on opinion, but I mean, you know, we do have a general, especially with hip hop. A lot of us can at least kind of agree certain things that may be whack, or, you know, so I'm very grateful to connect with people that have influenced me, have made really great music, but also I draw from the universe, from the little small things, you know, from the flower inspiration, and grateful for family and just the simpleness, you know. So
diverse taste in music, man. And so
yeah.
So you mentioned that you started rapping and producing. Do you still rap much, or is it just all producing now?
Yeah. You know, my focus, like I said, it's been mainly on my rapping is something I still practice, like freestyling. A lot of times, sometimes it's in work environments and real natural settings, with family and things like that. Yeah, it's something I've kind of kept more sacred and haven't released, and strategically.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and I feel like because I have heightened and dialed into my sounds of beats and where I go with that, and where I feel like I can fulfill and do more as far as like connect with MCs like yourself and other people, and perhaps, you know, there may be a time where I may hop on a track at one point if that feels good and what the other person is feeling it, but it hasn't been my focus. It's in my heart, and it's one of those things that's just like, I will always be an MC. But definitely for what, for the folks to hear and to look out for, they'll most likely be looking and hearing for more beats from 3VOLVR.
No, I love it,
Yeah.
man. So do you
Yeah.
recall the first moment that you decided that I'm gonna try to make beats and I'm gonna try to figure it out as a young kid? What was the
Yeah.
catalyst that inspired you to try it? And what was the process like of trying to figure out what equipment you needed to use to do so?
Yes, yes. The exact is there's a lot.
Yeah.
But as far as like time frame to dial in, yeah, I'll say like for beat making, I moved to North Carolina, to Wilmington, North Carolina,
Okay.
in 1997, which is where Michael Jordan is from. I used to play 6th Street Park, where he used to play, close to he went to, I think, DC. Anyways, his history is rich, and that city, I remember being in that city, and basketball was a big thing, of course, but the hip hop coming from the West Coast and then switching over there, at the time it was like DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yeah.
That was the album that when that came, everybody was, that was undeniably like dope. So I had an influence like on that, more coming from like beautiful Southern California, where it's like a lot of folks are grandfathered in, to like a good situation, and different kind of, and then living in more of a big city that has diversity, with ethnicities, with classes, and feeling that it definitely, I brought a lot of influence already, was had formative years, and that was just a little quick bit tidbit, but I definitely soaked up a lot. And so coming back to speed up back to 1999,
Yeah.
so that was 97, 98. About 99, I came back April. That's when I had already, like, when I was in North Carolina, I had homies that were freestyling and rapping, and I didn't quite, it wasn't there yet. I did, like I said, I rapped as a kid, and I had put in, kind of shown interest and wrote poetry and things like that, and like to write. But when I got back, it was like, I had older homies also that I looked up to, that had an MPC 2000 before it was the XL. My brother Bijan, who I've made music with, he's part of my group Observers with my brother. Him in particular, he had an MPC. Okay. And I remember coming back, and that was a cat that definitely I was like, wow, I was really proud to hear his beats, because he lived in San Francisco for a while. And yeah, and he knew, giant graffiti artists. He had some connects, and was boiling with some with hip hop elements, And so anyways, between my older brother, that what really set it off was, I want to say, my older brother got turntables. He got Technique. He got Technique 1200s. So
Off
before
bat,
that,
man. Off the bat. Nice.
Yeah, and it was like the way that we always looked at it, and he looked at it, was like, okay, we knew, like, we don't want to start off with some toy Gemini or Newmark, something, which at the time, that's what it was. Now you look at it, it's like, it's a little different. It's like, no, I get it. Like, you can start somewhere, and you can practice, and you, depending on, your resources, you use what you can,
That's
sometimes
right.
that's all you can get. But nonetheless, my brother, who was really smart early on, works in carpentry, construction with my brother, my father. He was already, like, saving up and working on getting the best that he could get, wanting to start out. So that was a big thing. That was an influence. And then I had my parents, backing. I think they one birthday they bought me a Boss Dr. Rhythm drum machine. Now, man, that thing, I was, here's the thing, between my brother scratching, and then I had older homies who, like I mentioned, my friend Bijan, who was in San Francisco, he had connections with this dude, DJ Doja, and a lot of cats, Pasha McIntosh, shout out from Germany. Those dudes were ITF, International Turntable Federation. So I started, buying those videos with my brother, seeing my brother Michael scratch, and I was already writing raps. So starting to kind of get on that, like I would freestyle over instrumentals that my brother had on vinyl, and I was making mixtapes around high school, like right when I got into high school, and my brother would be cutting, I would freestyle on them, and I started selling them. I started slanging. He would help me with the covers because he's a master artist.
Yeah.
And so I started selling them. I sold one tape to the cat, Jonas Bavacqua's little brother. He was the dude who started LRG, which LRG, Lifted Research Group, is that dude. That dude was from Laguna Beach. Rest in peace. He was homies with my sister and a lot of people from older heads, you know. And my brother knew him, and you know, so that was actually Lifted Research Group was like a class project in his 12th grade class, or, you know, senior year, to do something. Mr. Roach's class, he did a clothing company, and he did that name. And then he came out and had some investors, and that really set, you know, for those probably a lot of people don't know Lifted Research Group, you know, coming from Laguna Beach, from where I'm from, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah. You know, so those were I had a lot of older cats, and then having these little tidbits, you know, it was like my early little bit of pushing was selling tapes with my freestyles. That's for like $5, you know, and that was like an early start.
A lot of people these days don't get to, you know, experience the going out and selling their tapes. You know, it's very easy to do online now. So that's awesome. You get that experience, and that LRG. Cool story, man. Just it started as I don't know if Nike was similar too, but I thought it was like a classroom project. But that's kind of cool. Just cool insight, man, and that you saw it at the start.
Super dope.
Yeah. Hey, well, good deal, man. Hey, so with that, man, how's the music scene in your neck of the woods? Is it do you get out much now that, you know, you're a family man, or
you know, now that I'm a family man, I work, and I take care of my family. I squeeze out, like when I first had my daughter Jasmine. So I became a stepfather, actually, before I had my daughter Jasmine, to my daughter Isla. She's almost 18, about to graduate high school. So at a young age, about 26, I became around that, you know, I became a stepfather. And when I became a father, I remember right before I had my daughter Jasmine, a lot of folks were like, man, you know, things all right, like your music, like you know, good luck, and kind of laughing like, hey, you got kids, you know, like, and at that point, I have like the thing about me, man, is like when it comes to creativity, already I feel I draw off like a channel of, I know when you are a professional and you have to do something, like I do this for love and to put it out there. And if people, you know, if people come and they want to purchase it, and that's all, that's cool. I have sold my production and sold beats. I've worked with film companies, and I've made custom music and tracks. I worked as a sound mixer. I had this job where I was working as a recording sound mixer for this company that they were doing a show. It was called The Famous TV Show or something, right? Okay. And in it, the one who was producing it was a lady named Melanie. I believe she has a studio called Melody Makers or something like that. She wrote for Janet Jackson a track. She grew up and was friends with Janet Jackson. So this is all how funny, like, you know, the connects of, you never know where you're gonna like run into people. Or so her husband or boyfriend at the time, who passed away, was the guy Jay Shanklin, I think his name was. He produced on the Bloods and the Crips album. And it was really strange, because I was like, hey man, like, yeah, I grew up listening to that. I remember, you know, Banging on Wax and Pyru Love and all, you know, and all the, you know, right. Nationwide Rip Riders, and and I had a homie that at the time, when I was growing up, he actually had a poster that was signed from the Grape Street Crip dude, Freddy Krueger, that was part of them. Now, all that stuff, me growing up, like, that was a lot of that gangsterism was even like pushed, you know, and I appreciate like the skill level and what I could take from it. But I definitely I had friends that went like gangster route and you know, got caught up and you know, one dude ended up in prison and you know, is out now, but just I didn't need to go that life. I wasn't like about that. I had a real, you know, both my mom and dad were super loving. I had a real good family dynamic. I've always had a good head on my shoulders. So even though like as a child seeing that and going through having those influences and then prison industrial complex that was pressed within record labels and different things, you know, I definitely had some effects of like, you know, buying that music and enjoying, but there was when it reached like the Freestyle Fellowship and the Living Legends and the cats that were, you know, Eminon, who, yeah, man, that is what touched my heart more, you know, and I really connected, and I could really feel like, you know, when it came to writing and rapping, it's all about the vibration, you know, the consciousness. We as humans, we are not just water, you know, we are frequency, body electric frequency. So, you know, when it comes to, you got to think about the energy that you put in. It's similar to, there's that saying of like, blessed are the hands that prepare in the kitchen. I grew up, like I had a homie that he was a Hare Krishna, and I remember getting Hare Krishna food and they would only let people in the kitchen who put good energy and you know, they were not putting that, you know, leaving the mess out, you know what I mean? And I try to do that when it comes to, I understand when it's like making beats, it's a release and you can let out certain energies, but I try not to step into the lab and make beats when I'm in like a real bad mood or something like that. I particularly, you know, and if I do, it'll be more for practice, and just a lot of times I make beats, and sometimes I've had over the years, I've made a lot of beats where I could have kept, you know, put them in sequence and recorded them. I just cut my MPC off, and it was kind of like, you know, like how you see monks, you know, they have the creation where they show you it's the Holy Trinity, like within my name, it's like you show the creation. This is let me do the mandala, you know, this beautiful mandala. You see the creation, then the sustain, it's there, and then you know, the Shiva the destroyer, then it's gone. And I've had a lot of practice with over the years with what my beat making, where sometimes I don't necessarily, a lot of my music, in fact, almost all of it, I make on the late night. So I'll start maybe during the day, but I almost even do like a one take thing where I'll stay up for like 7-8 hours and I'll record it. And then sometimes go back a little bit, and I'm all pretty much analog. I use track recorders. I don't use computers that much. I'm an OG cat. Like I use a lot of, you know, I'm a Taurus, and I could take in Pro Tools and things like that. But I remember seeing like Blockhead, like an interview, he was talking about, you know, how he works within a small little, you know, area of like with the MPC. It challenges me to see what I can with my brain, you know, what can I do? And I like effects and I like things, and, you know, but you listen to a lot of like, I feel like hip hop at the late 90s, you know, with the sample bass, like within the pocket with break beats and the beat, man, I love that sound, you know? So yeah. Now the music you hear with the trap beats and not knocking it, and it can be for some people.
Yeah, that's right. That's
you know,
right.
you know, but right. But that's just not what I'm making.
Oh
yeah.
No,
yeah,
hey,
or
nice, man. And so now I want to take it back real quick. So the first at least official album that I found of yours was back in 2007, Man Upstairs. And was that your
Yeah.
first official release, or was there something further back than that?
Yeah, yeah. I have an album. Well, I have a few albums before that that I didn't release. One in particular, I have an album called "Stepping Forward" or "1,000 Steps Forward." Okay. That is an album that I had thought about releasing and letting out, but it showed more of the early stages of experimentation. Right. And so something that I just felt like for you, I'll shoot it to you. You know what I mean, and send it to you. And I don't mind having like homies hear it, but I just didn't feel like I was just quite ready right there at that point to release for people to hear.
Yeah.
Looking back, looking back, it actually still holds up and still sounds okay. But I like to have like a little bit of material that is just kind of in the storage.
No, that's always good to have stuff in the bank. So yeah, I guess like if we start with Man Upstairs as maybe one of your earlier albums that you were pretty good with releasing. I mean, what was that like in terms of just like putting that project together, and just what was the idea in your head as you were putting that project together?
Yeah. So that would be like so previously the album before that I mentioned, and then I had another one in between. I think I called it Calligraffiti or something like that.
Oh, nice.
That was an album where I started to feel like, all right, I like where my sounds and everything's kind of tying in. It still was very loopish and simple, but nonetheless, like the vibe and the energy, that was something I felt like releasing. And if you look at the last track, actually, I think I called it Crikey or something. That one was actually like an all no sample, and I made that on a Korg TR. Okay. Previous to the TR, I played on a Triton. So my machines rather on that album is an MPC 1000. Nice. and sample based. A lot of my music, it was an MPC 1000, still is. I still rock that. And now I got a 2500 SE, cool, model. But yeah, that was an album that I thought, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and slip in one track here and kind of towards the end, like kind of dip it in with a little something to juxtapose the all sample based. So in most of my stuff, I feel like I like to keep it very similar into like the sample based music for me, but like the stuff, and so I like to chop my drums and chop my sounds up, and but at the same time there are those songs and albums that I've released, like that one in particular, it has kind of a little bit of both. Also, I had a micro Korg, so some of those earlier albums, you'll hear a lot more synthesizer. I held back. I have a little bit of the vocoder. I talked through a little bit, but and played with sounds. But yeah, mainly the synthesizer I used on that thing.
Super cool, man. And what was the significance of the title of the album, Man Upstairs, man? Why did you go with that name?
Yeah. Okay, so coming from an obvious is like, God, man upstairs, right? But I in particular was the man upstairs, and I'll tell you why. For two houses in particular, I lived with my family.
Oh shit!
I had a room that was upstairs, right? And so okay. So my area, I called it the lighthouse. And the reason is I lived in this house that it was this cool layout. It just had my room was like, it had a hatch that went to my brother's room, and it had its own staircase, and it was kind of like a lighthouse. Like it was looking towards the ocean, and I've always kind of connected with the light and being like feeling like a light worker. just feeling with that idea of the connection, and regardless of
Yeah.
you believe in God or not, just the man upstairs, it resonated with me. So
Yeah. What a
I
great
felt like,
connection,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, so
So that
I
was sort of a lot of that. Mhm.
yeah, that was a great. Yeah, my favorite song on that, or at least the beat on that, was "Crate Yard Shift." I thought the drums were really hard, but man, what a great
Dope,
listen,
dope.
man. I usually do that during the interview, or I try to find something super, super early in the person's musical journey, and then I like to fast
Yeah,
forward the stuff that they're doing now. And I will
yeah.
say, man, what an amazing trajectory in terms of skill and the beats. And again, that stuff from
Cool, cool.
2007 holds very well, man. And so, yeah,
Thank you.
amazing, man. And so I want to fast forward now to 2000, 2023, and then jump into your Outside Inward album, which I'm a proud owner of that CD, man. What a great
Thank you,
listen.
brother.
And fucking
Thank you.
18 tracks, man. Holy cow. The first thing I thought too was like, whoa, um, dude, a lot of different artists. And I'm like, oh, how long did it take you to put that project together?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Well,
works at a different pace, right? So,
definitely, definitely. Well, that album in particular, it took me about 2 years to release.
okay.
So I started, and it wasn't necessarily, of course, depending on certain people that I would send beats out to. So here's how I kind of started this out was I reached out, and you could hear a good part. Deep Search Collective blessed this album, very, very solid. John Dax, Kia, Quiet, Ian, the Golden Array.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a lot of the MCs,
Okay.
Stay Busy, Hobbs and Tank.
Hey, my boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Shout out. Yeah, man, a lot. Kayer, OG, Bay Area OG,
Dude,
uh,
yeah.
Portland dude. Extra
Hey,
prolifics on that. It
let
is
me
Snoop.
some of the names. So I got
Yeah, yeah. Go through the list.
yeah, and I don't have them all, but 10-Headed Skeleton, Simran, Cave Mammoth, Track Lumen, my boys Hank, Hobbs and Tank, Kayer, Extra Prolific, Avatar, Rest in Peace, and the list goes on, man. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
Smile Oak,
amazing.
Staple Mouth, Result.
Yeah,
Man, it just yeah. Um, yeah, like you said, 10-Headed Skeleton, lot. That album in particular,
great.
it was like the timing I felt was almost perfect, because
Okay.
after it was during the the pandemic happened,
Yep.
and it was like, okay, I have a lot of production and I have a lot of beats that I wanted to hear and connect with, not just a full album of one person in particular. I wanted to have this kind of an album where it feels like, there's cats from Canada, there's cats from the Bay Area,
Yeah.
you and then you even have the handling and energies from like the cover art from Vishwa Mandala from Sharu Latha. She's someone I connected through Instagram. She makes mandalas, paints them on wood, and
Beautiful.
thankfully I reached out with good intent and let her know, hey, this is my idea, this is kind of where I'm going,
Yeah.
and she was very receptive. And the same thing with a lot of the artists that are on this album. Thankfully, they were all open arms. There was a couple other like mini albums. There's always going to be with the timing. Like recently, that Nayla track that came out with Avatar, that was on M25 Records, Foreign Trade. Rest in peace, Avatar. That was a track that I had sent out to Avatar and to Nayla. Nayla had the instrumental, and I had already been working with Avatar, and I had approached both of them knowing they were already friends and have done great work together.
Yeah.
Masterful work, and not just from the genius mind of Avatar's production and mixing and mastering, but also raps together. I had worked previously with Avatar and Nayla on astral projections on an album that I had already released 2007 or so. And it came to me and I thought, man, I really, really want to get those two together, you know, on a track. And so I had reached out and I reached out to Avatar, and they were friends and are, you know, rest in peace. But at the time, just how life goes, you know, people are busy and things happen. I think like maybe they didn't have each other's numbers or something like that at the time. So I think I connected and I got Avatar's number, gave it to Nayla or something. Anyways, they ended up connecting and little, you know, without, I didn't even know. One day, I think that Avatar sent that track and Heart and Soul, which actually my brother, I made that beat in 2008. And my brother through the cuts and it was one of those tracks that I was proud of and I thought was really cool, but I didn't necessarily put it out. And I wasn't sure, like when I sent it to Nayla, I had other tracks that I for sure thought she would have picked, you know. But that's the thing and the beauty when it comes to an MC. Sometimes they resonate and feel a vibration and connect and also bring back something that you just are like, wow, I did not expect. And that was like with that and with a lot of those cats on Outside Inward was that energy. So I've been blessed to have a run with the MCs that I have connected with. I you know, first off are fans of these people, you
Right.
know, and love their music and what they do, period. So to be involved, it's like, all right, it's an honor, but it's also like, you know, wow, like, you know, this is really dope to hear my production with some people that really bring it together. You know what I mean? That so that was that album, about 2 years in the making. And by the time it was time to put it out, I had already put out a single or so, or maybe I think it was the Avatar and Smile Oak, Holistic Truth, which is a super dope joint. Which that track in particular, I found a lot of that from a lot of my local thrift stores, a lot of the vinyl that I sampled from. Yeah. And I found it on like I love it because it was like the dollar bin gems, you know, like I found like a flute from Mexico, like some stuff that was like real to the people selling it. They didn't realize like, wow, like when I picked a lot of these things up and I started, you know, plucking and playing with them, I knew like, you know, I kind of had with the flute kind of to draw it. I felt like I really needed like an ambient sound and kind of like that spiritual sound. And I didn't say my title was not Holistic Truth, but for them to come back and Avatar and Smile Oak, that was a beautiful track. And that album, man, everybody on there really came and you know, you can tell when people, regardless if they take a lot of time on a track or not, you can tell people who are putting, you know, like their energies, their magic into it, you know. And I feel like nobody shorted me.
Oh,
you know,
that was a great project, man. Just
I
popped that on several times from my commute to work, and I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to give you your flowers for that project. I thought that was
bro.
Great, man. Yeah, and so it's good, man. And then you mentioned, and that was another thing I was gonna bring up too, was the Foreign Trade project where you had the fluid statistics beat or fluid statics, and you talked a little bit about Heart and Soul too. So amazing. You worked with Observe Self, Neela, and Avatar, and man, just another track, man. And so it's awesome that you got to do some music with the late great Avatar. And so, man, just great projects, as I mentioned, man, from 2007 and on. Just your work has been awesome. I love that you pulled a couple tracks from that project and that went on for the Winter Collection 2024 for Pen Thief Records, based out of Germany. And so how did that little deal work out, man? How did you get connected with Pen Thief?
So Pen Thief Records, shout out Noblonsky. Noblonsky is a cat out of Berlin. So many years ago, here's just a quick little tidbit. I was working, I want to say, I don't know, maybe 2009 or so. There was a time where there was blog spots, you know, that you could look in and you could type in. So I came up collecting tapes, collecting CDs, records, digging, you know, and then there was a time where like you could see, like now with YouTube and with blogs, you type in a lot of rare stuff. You could really find maybe the audio, it's not in sound wave like a rich vinyl, which I prefer the frequency range. But nonetheless, I remember going on blog spots and looking up different jazz and different stuff. And I had found one that was called Brazil Nuggets and super dope. And then I was, there was this blog spot. It was Chuck Chi, this cat who I ended up, I'm actually now part of New Cocoon. And this dude is, you know, a solid producer out of Germany as well, and with Wormhole, and he was, you know, previous to me already, New Cocoon pushing. So that cat had a blog spot, and I remember seeing Noblonsky, like this cover of him with, it was like a lowrider with like, I don't know, alien head, and then like some chicks, something strange. If you talk to him, he could explain something of that nature. But nonetheless, I saw his name, and then speed up to, you know, with social media. I remember connecting with him through Facebook, and a lot of homies, you know, seeing, you know, that he's part of New Cocoon and putting out some great work. Speed up to Pen Thief Records.
Okay.
I released an album I called Sea Glass. Nice. Before I put that album out, it was actually part of the Beat Tape Co-op producers number 12 series. So we put that out as a free album, and then, you know, something hit me talking to Noblonsky. He's like, "Yo, let's put this out as a cassette tape, and I'll put it out on my label." So I let him do his. At the time, he was doing these beautiful cassettes that were way different. The front covers of like he's doing like 3D molds on them. You know, I don't know if you've seen any of those where he frames them up like they're like paintings, kind of like with a little frame. I don't know if you've seen that particular album had that. So we put out a limited edition, and since then, you know, we already have been putting out music together with my Brighter Shade of Sound series, which is an all instrumental series. That cat, so we had already been connected, but there was a point where it was like, all right, this is my bro, this is my bro. And, you know, I'm gonna work with him. Even to this day, I feel like I have my Sidewalk Astronomy recordings, but there's like his Pen Thief Records. You could see it on this Outside Inwards. He helped me with the cover to put it together, and he's just a dude that's like, I rock with him. He's a label that I represent. Same with Nakubi tapes, you know, out of Greece. 77 Rise recordings. You know, like I said, M25. These are all labels that put out a lot of great music. And whether I'm like an artist on the roster or, you know, connect and put out stuff as like kind of a guest, whatever you want to call it, I'm happy and blessed for these like Pen Thief Records, you know, Noblonsky and these cats, Matt Bloom and 77 Rise, and, you know, for real.
I love it, man. And so, yeah, it's great, man. And so again, just amazing amass of music on your website. I love it. And again, man, just been bumping that CD. It's been on high rotation, man. And so with that,
thanks, bro.
I guess it's been so long, man. And so I'm curious as to what.
Well, let me add one thing.
Yeah.
That album's gonna be released on vinyl this year. On El Granny Records. Yeah. Same record label that is on Thunderhead, Staple Mouth coming. Everybody look out, March 23rd, Thunderhead and Result. Staple Mouth and Result. It's called Thunderhead. I'm on that label. So
very cool.
I'm blessed to, you know, the cat who runs that, you know, to invest in and believe in putting that project out as vinyl.
Yeah,
On
big
vinyl,
sound
you know. Yeah.
Texas is gonna be good. And I mean, you humble guy, man. You got to mention that you also helped out on the track for the Thunderhead album too, as well. And so, what
Yes.
was, yeah. And so, how was that? Was it a beat that you and Result worked on together? That's right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is. So with that particular song, that was a beat that I had started. I made in 2007, and a lot of my production, not to skit scat, but just to kind of add, some of the albums you hear, some folks don't know. Sometimes I release and will throw in a 2008 beat with a 2023 album.
Very
And
cool.
the reason is it could be an unreleased, or it could be something that I feel, needed that MC, or something that just didn't get that light.
Hey, man, I can't wait till the album drops, and it's going to be exciting for everybody to hear. I was lucky enough to get a preview of the album, so we did the
Yes.
interview, and so that's going to drop a day before, and so that was kind of planned. And so, yeah, no, just a great album, and I'm so excited. And
Thank
with
you.
that, man, hey, just again, man, it's been amazing following your catalog and just getting to know and doing a deep dive into your music. It's been amazing, man.
Yes.
And, I hope you continue.
Thank you.
Stay
I remember what you said. Let me. Okay. So you said something about the Live and Learn track. So that started out. Result happened to be. He mastered a lot of the album, as well as Gone Beyond. I have to shout out him as well. So when I handed that track to Result, he brought it, like, gave it new life. I mean, like, brought it to where it is. And Staple Mouth, of course, being a style master. Those two cats, when it went in Result's hands, and Result, came to me, hey, we're gonna, Staple Mouth make collab. By the time I heard it, and I saw recently Staple Mouth had mentioned the first version not having any cuts, and then Result adding scratches. That was sort of like, you could hear the backbone of that track with like a lot of the guitar sounds and samples, and a lot of the framework was already there. But Result came in there and polished it up, gave it new life, threw some beautiful bouncy drums with his energy to it, as well as brought in some other sounds that really flipped it into what it is today. So, that collaboration was beautiful, because aside from me, like, in person and with homies making beats, I don't really collaborate on the beat, spectrum with other people. Usually it's generally an all solo thing. So, and I felt a connection with that cat and what he does. Yeah, man, it definitely proud to see where those cats brought it. And then, I feel like to have it on that album, and that was also something that was a track featured on a Pen Thief Records winter collection, I believe. And then now released on vinyl now it's going to be released on vinyl 2 times. So, like, bro, like, that feels fucking amazing. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I love those cats, Staple Mouth, like, and Result, all those and all those people that I mentioned and are part of that album that have been rocking with me. Super dope.
No, it's great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so with that, man, with all this time, dedicated to work, family, and music, what do you like to do outside of that for fun? What are your hobbies?
Yeah. I love nature. I love the beach. I spend a lot of time, I live right across the street from Salt Creek, which is it's Dana Point. It's like it's a resort area. So naturally, like, it's just like the landscape and the hills, everything. I love nature. So, I spend a lot of time in nature, is one. Yeah, I definitely soak up. I like to dig through records, and you know, if I can, once in a while, I'll slip at a thrift shop, or you know, some random spot, and take
Yep.
take a quick Salvation Army or something. You know,
Find some gold.
yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm born and raised vegetarian. I'm vegan.
Wow.
So I've been vegan since 1999, about the same time I started making beats.
Oh man.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. So my passion, is also, I love anything to do natural foods, vegan, anything to do with vegan food and that kind of sense. I'm not really on, how can I say it? When I was younger, I used to follow sports and I used to watch sports and all those things. Now it's kind of like when I'm not working, I'm not with my kids, I appreciate like the breathing, you know, the like, I don't really necessarily need to do a whole lot. My brain, I'm never bored, so whether it's like off the cuff freestyling and drawing, that kind of sense, those are kind of things that definitely make me feel good.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, two fun questions before we close this interview out, man. What
Yeah,
is a quite unknown fun fact about yourself?
man. That's a good question. Unknown fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I went over quite a bit.
Yeah.
Hmm Maybe that I grew up as a skateboarder. So you know I
Nice.
still I love skateboarding. So aside from, and the same thing, I guess it aligns with like the hip hop I love. I love
Yeah.
underground hip hop, and it's not the norm hip hop, and skateboarding has always been sort of like the alternative, although it's like very athletic and artistic and mathematical, and so that is something these days. I still once in a while will throw my skateboard down. I have, I have some little storage tricks in there. Little fakey big spin, and
You still got the you still got the ollie.
oh, I can still ollie. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome,
Little
man.
busted kickflip.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
So yeah, for sure. But I come from a long lineage of botanists, French botanists.
oh wow.
Yeah, my great grandfather was accredited to discovering the Easter lily blooming by the time it was Easter. And I believe he has or had a statue or something like that in Westminster Abbey, England, or something like that, is what I was told from my family. I have a lineage in Corsica, France, Scotch Irish, Native American. There's one thing people probably would not ever guess.
Oh, good enough. Oh, cool.
I'm Lakota Indian. So my grandmother and her side is Lakota Indian, or was Native. So yeah, man. And then my parents were spiritual initiates of a spiritual path, rather, called the Saint Shabda Yoga, which is the way of compassion. So I was raised. They had their gurus, Darshan Singh and Kirpal Singh. So I definitely come from that upbringing. So for sure.
Nice,
Yeah.
man. All right, man. Hey, I'm a big comedy guy, man. What is the best comedy movie of all time?
Oh, wow, man. I gotta pull something good. Uh Man.
Don't disappoint. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I hate to say like a something that's such a like a expected one. Hmm. Well, Chris Farley was funny. I thought
Absolutely,
Chris.
man.
I thought any of the Chris Farley movies was great. Let's see. I liked Friday. I thought Friday was dope with
Yeah.
the original one. I grew up in the 90s, so like, those kind of actors, Martin, which was a show, I watched Martin and all that, that kind of stuff. Uh yeah.
No,
Um
those are good ones, man, for sure.
yeah. Yeah, and for me to this day, like, how about you? What would be your favorite comedy or movie?
Oh, mine is very easy. It's the Eddie Murphy Coming to America is my classic all.
Oh, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
so I can
I
quote that
like
right from.
Delirious. His stand up
Oh yeah,
Delirious is great.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Richard Pryor, a lot of Richard Pryor stuff back in the day was great. You
yeah,
know.
very
Yeah.
timeless stuff, man. Just yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So
Nice, nice.
yeah.
And one thing I'll add to that, which is not a comedy movie, but a favorite movie I always loved was Enter the Dragon.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, classic, man. Yeah.
yeah, from the soundtrack, Lalo Schifrin, Argentinian composer, super dope. You know, you hear the whole music was great. You know, you have of course Bruce Lee. I was named my middle name. My parents were big Bruce Lee fans. My middle name was actually drawn, and they watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies before I was born, and so my middle name was actually Jason Lee, was after Bruce Lee.
Oh man,
Yeah, yeah.
cool,
Yeah,
man.
and I always love, you know, his philosophies of like the height of cultivation always results to simplicity. You know, and what that means is no matter how complex things get, and what, you know, wherever there's the simple form, the less is more. You know,
Yeah. Oh, that was
to
great.
draw on to the power. Yeah.
No, really cool, man. Well, with that, hey, man, you got a very productive year coming up, and you got
Yes.
outside inward dropping on wax, and then
Yes.
yeah, absolutely, you got that, and then you got the Thunderhead album, which you feature on that last track. And are there any special projects that you want to give us a little shout out on before we close this thing out?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Upcoming Nikubi tapes out of Kavala, Greece.
Okay.
My brother Nikos Soterelis, I believe is his name. You know, a lot of these cats and even their labels, I'm reading, I don't know if I'm saying them precise or perfect, but you know, anyways, Nikubi Neck, he was a graffiti artist, and anyways, he's got a 10-year anniversary for his label, which I put out a Brighter Shade of Sound Volume 4 and 5 with him, and him in particular. He's a dope producer and curator, as well as something that I like to do. Yeah, man, I'm gonna be part of that album, 10-year anniversary. That's coming up, as well as a Brighter Shade of Sound Volume 8,
Nice.
which yeah. And that's going to be released on the same record label that Staple Mouth and Results, Thunderhead EP,
Okay.
El Gran E Records out of Texas. All right. So look out for that. Look out for Outside Inward on vinyl. The Brighter Shade of Sound Volume 8 will be released on cassette tape.
Nice.
Yeah. And I have some other stuff in store. Just check and look out for. Check out some Memphis Reigns, you know.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
some of your and you may be seeing some music between us as well. You know, folks out there. So for sure. But yeah, much respect to you and to what you do musically, to what you do with this podcast. And I know is it D Mitchell or D Mitch? There's another cat named
D Mitch. There's
yeah.
yeah.
Shout out to him. He's involved in some sort, right?
Yeah. So we started together, but he's on a break, and so I'm gonna carry on the tradition until I get him back.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, love to him as well. You know, with I love what you're doing. You know, the standout so far. I was happy to see the Architect, Homeless Derelicts. I seen that was big, super dope.
3VOLVR on there, man. So
thank you, brother. Staple Mouth and Stay Busy Crew, man. No, I know you you do a lot of good work, and yeah, it means a lot for you to take time, you know, today, and not just what you do, but also to sit here with me, man. Thank you.
Great, man. I love your music, and man,
thank you.
I cop all that, once I heard it, and just you're a good dude, man, and so I
thank you, brother.
You being a good human being. I appreciate
likewise
dope music, and again, you have an extensive catalog that everybody needs to check out, dating back to 1999, but 2007 is the earliest stuff. But again, you go in 3VOLVR's catalog, and you won't be disappointed. And man, get that Outside Inward album a spin. That has very many times kept me company for my commute to work. And so again, man, just
Thank you, bro.
excited to know that you're still doing music, still in this game. And I can't wait for
Thank
your
you.
future projects. It's going to be an honor to follow your musical journey. And I look forward to getting this interview out, man. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, and last thing I'll add is you know, thank you, you know, not only having this extended catalog, it's bridged me over to having an extended family. So
Yeah.
you know, the thing about hip hop, and to have these kind of connections, you know, regardless of anything, you know, it's yeah, man, these are the things that for us, but also for our like-minded folks, and for those to view and coming up, and to view and to, you know, kind of gather and, you know, soak up certain things. They may, oh, what's that? Or, you know, what was that? You and I know are similar in age. I believe I'm 38, almost 39. How old are you?
I'm 44,
Okay.
man. Yeah.
44. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm an old soul, and was, you know, I've been around, but yeah, man. And nonetheless, I'm grateful, and you know, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, brother. Keep
Yeah.
making shit, man.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Keep in touch, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Peace.